Welcome to the Chronicles of a Cheating Wife channel. A new story every day. Don't forget to subscribe. I often find myself yearning for a manual on marriage, especially when things start to go awry. My name is Danny, and I've always been ingrained with the notion that a man's duty upon marriage is to provide for his family at any cost. However, societal dynamics have evolved since then, with more couples sharing financial responsibilities, or even the woman taking on the role of the primary breadwinner. When Sarah and I tied the knot, I was the one with a stable job and promising prospects in my company. My work demanded occasional late nights, weekends, and business trips, which Sarah initially seemed to understand and accept. In the early years of our marriage, she too worked, but after the arrival of our son Harry, she chose to be a stay-at-home mom. Our life seemed idyllic with a comfortable home, a supportive spouse, and a fulfilling job that allowed me to provide for my family. I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was amiss. The challenges began to surface when our second child entered the picture. Conceiving Harry had been a struggle. I was informed by the doctor that I had a low sperm count. However, we remained hopeful and continued to try, eventually welcoming our son into the world. Despite the initial difficulty, our marriage remained vibrant and full of joy. So when Emily arrived unexpectedly 3 years later, we embraced the surprise with open arms. After her birth, Sarah and I made the mutual decision not to expand our family further, acknowledging the demands of parenting as a full-time commitment in itself. As time passed, like any couple, we encountered our fair share of disagreements and challenges, but we always managed to communicate effectively and find resolutions. However, a period arose when Sarah faced health concerns specific to women and sought medical attention. Unfortunately, the issue wasn't severe, as she reassured me, but it did temporarily affect our intimacy. Despite my inquiries, Sarah remained tight-lipped about the specifics, reassuring me that there was no cause for worry. Reflecting on it now, perhaps I should have been more inquisitive at that time. Meanwhile, my career demanded long hours, but my dedication began to yield results with promotions every few years. I'm on track to become the director of manufacturing within the company, a prospect that promises a reduction in work hours and more time to spend with my family. Harry has recently turned 17, nearing the end of his high school journey, while Emily is about to embark on hers. Both children excel in sports, a trait I like to attribute to my own influence. Harry shines as a standout player on his school's baseball team, while Emily's passion lies in soccer, though she also enjoys playing softball. Both excel academically and boast considerable popularity among their peers. Harry has dipped his toes into the realm of teenage romance with a few girlfriends, while Emily is just on the cusp of entering the dating scene. It's a phase of parenthood that fills me with both pride and trepidation. God help me. With Harry soon venturing off to college and Emily reaching an age of increasing independence, Sarah began dropping hints about rejoining the workforce. The idea didn't seem objectionable. After all, she had a valid point. So I agreed, stipulating that it shouldn't disrupt our family's routine. She secured a part-time position at a major department store in the mall, indulging in the added perk of an employee discount. After a few months of Sarah's return to work, a sudden cancellation freed up my day, coinciding with her shift. Seizing the opportunity, I decided to surprise her with a lunchtime visit. Knowing her placement in the jewelry department, I eagerly ventured into the mall, hoping for a chance to involve her in selecting a gift. However, upon inquiry to the young woman manning the counter, my hopes were dashed. "She's not due in until tomorrow," came the cheery response, leaving me puzzled and somewhat unsettled. The discrepancy lingered in my mind as I returned to work, unable to shake off the nagging feeling that Sarah had been certain about her schedule. Despite my attempts to focus, her absence continued to gnaw at me throughout the day. However, as the hours passed, the distraction gradually faded and I immersed myself in my tasks. By the time the workday concluded, my thoughts had shifted to the anticipation of a tranquil evening at home. Yet, upon entering the empty house, the silence felt unsettling. I wondered about Sarah's whereabouts. Moments later, her car pulled into the driveway, and she emerged, dressed in her typical work attire, a knee-length skirt paired with a blouse. Surprised by my early return, she remarked, "You're home early. Didn't you mention an all-day meeting?" "Yeah, but it wrapped up sooner than expected. Back to the grind tomorrow," I responded, a lie slipping from my lips without explanation. Her smile remained unaffected as she explained, "Oh, that's unfortunate. I had to cover for a colleague who called in sick, ended up working a double shift." It suddenly became clear why I had lied, but the reason eluded me. "Sounds like you had a hectic day too. Are you on to be tomorrow?" I inquired. "Yes, but it should be less chaotic if our absentee colleague shows up. Let me get dinner started once I change," she replied before ascending the stairs. Alarm bells rang in my mind as I processed the realization that something was awry. Why would Sarah fabricate her presence at work? What was she concealing? Determination surged within me. I needed to uncover her true schedule. The plan formulated in my mind: wait until she claims to be working on a day she shouldn't be, then confront her with the truth. But how could I obtain her schedule without arousing suspicion? My train of thought was abruptly halted by the arrival of my son, his greeting snapping me back to reality. "Hey, Pops," he called before darting upstairs for his evening routine. The quest for information consumed my mind throughout the night, the need for discretion paramount. It wasn't until the following morning that a solution dawned on me. Arriving at work early, I summoned John, a longtime employee who exuded a nervous energy upon entering my office. "Hey John, thanks for dropping by," I began, noticing the tension in his demeanor. Yeah, sure, no problem," he responded tentatively. Steeling myself, I broached the topic delicately. "I wanted to ask you something unrelated to work. I've heard your wife works at the same store as mine, and I was wondering if they might know each other." Relief washed over John's features as he relaxed slightly. "Oh, I'm not sure. What department does your wife work in?" "She's in jewelry." "And your wife?" "Perfumes and colognes, I think." "Why, you ask?" "I was hoping to plan a surprise for my wife, a romantic getaway. But I need to find out her work schedule without tipping her off. Would you mind asking your wife to discreetly gather that information? It would mean a lot to me," I fabricated inwardly, loathing the deception. "Thanks, John. That's really helpful. How soon do you think your wife could get her hands on it?" I inquired eagerly, eager to move forward with my plans. He reached for his cell phone, a glimmer of determination in his eyes. "I'll give her a call now. She's still at home and doesn't need to be at work until 8 a.m., he reassured me before dialing. I listened intently as he conversed with his wife, a wave of relief washing over me as he ended the call with a smile. "She'll fax over the schedule for the month later this morning. Is that all right?" he confirmed. "Absolutely perfect. Thanks so much, John. And please convey my gratitude to your wife as well," I replied sincerely. An hour later, armed with my wife's work schedule, I couldn't help but notice the glaring disparity. She had been working significantly fewer hours than she had claimed, minus 10 to 12 per week as opposed to the 18 to 25 she had told me. My mind raced with apprehension, contemplating the potential reasons behind her deceit. However, I had little time to dwell on it as work demanded my attention. Throughout the day, my thoughts remained consumed by the mystery surrounding my wife's actions, leaving me unable to focus on my tasks. Following the final meeting, I retreated to my office, poring over her schedule and meticulously organizing the data into a spreadsheet on my phone. The need to unravel her activities consumed me, leading me to explore online options for tracking her movements. With a list of potential tools at hand, I opted for discretion, purchasing a prepaid debit card with cash to avoid leaving a paper trail. As I headed home, my mind buzzed with the anticipation of uncovering the truth. The following day I took action, ordering the necessary equipment and having them shipped discreetly to my office. With a few days before their arrival, I found myself wrestling with the impending reality of why I might uncover Sitting at my desk, I compiled a list of potential explanations for my wife's deceptive behavior, with infidelity looming ominously at the forefront. The mere thought of betrayal sent shivers down my spine, challenging the foundation of our supposedly strong marriage. As the week progressed, the ordered items arrived at my workplace, serving as tangible reminders of the looming confrontation ahead. Among them were a tracking device for her car, compatible with my iPhone or iPad, as well as voice-activated recorders and covert cameras destined for our bedroom. Surveying the array of surveillance equipment left me with a bitter taste, a stark reminder of the distrust that now overshadowed our relationship. Despite my reluctance, doubt gnawed at me incessantly, urging me to uncover the truth, no matter how painful it might be. With a heavy heart, I resigned myself to the task at hand, preparing to invade my wife's privacy in a desperate search for answers. The following morning, fueled by a mix of apprehension and determination, I rose earlier than usual, surreptitiously installing the voice recorder and tracking device in her car. Once at work, I meticulously reviewed her schedule, identifying windows of opportunity for surveillance. Though she wasn't slated to work that day, I couldn't resist the urge to call and confirm her whereabouts, my heart pounding with anticipation and dread. I dialed my wife's number on the office phone, my heart pounding with a mixture of apprehension and resentment. "Hey, hon, just got into work, but I forgot to ask earlier, are you working today?" I inquired, my voice betraying a hint of skepticism. "Oh, yes I am, but I'll be home before you," she replied, her tone strained with falsity. "All right, just wanted to make sure. Have a good day at work. Love you." I managed to choke out the last words, the bitterness almost palpable. With the tracking device discreetly installed in her car, I knew I'd soon have answers. As she moved about, I would set up the spy cameras and additional voice recorders upon my return home, desperate to uncover any evidence of her betrayal. The mere thought of another man desecrating our bed filled me with a rage unlike any I had ever experienced. She would face consequences for her betrayal, not just toward me, but to her children as well. Throughout the morning, I kept a watchful eye on my iPad, awaiting the moment she left the house. Around 10 a.m., the tracker indicated her departure, signaling my cue to action. Crafting an excuse to leave the office, I informed my assistant that I needed to attend to personal matters and would return after lunch. Back at home, I meticulously placed the surveillance devices in her bedroom, ensuring optimal coverage while remaining undetected. With everything in position and tested, I checked the tracker on my iPod, discovering Sarah's location at the mall. Perhaps she did indeed have to work today. I contemplated surprising her, hoping for a shred of normalcy amidst the turmoil of suspicion and betrayal. As I pulled into the mall parking lot, my heart pounded with a mix of anticipation and dread. Spotting Sarah's car parked inconspicuously in the distant corner, away from her supposed workplace, sent a jolt of unease through me. Sensing something amiss, I quickly retrieved the new digital camera I had acquired and discreetly snapped a few photos for evidence. Navigating through the parking lot, I parked closer to the store and made my way to the jewelry department, my mind clouded with a storm of emotions from previous visits. "Hello, I was wondering if Sarah is working today," I inquired, struggling to maintain composure. "I'm sorry, sir, but she quit last week," she replied with a sympathetic smile. "She mentioned it was interfering with her family life. Can I assist you with anything else?" No, thank you," I muttered, my anger simmering beneath the surface. The revelation hit me like a freight train. Sarah's deceit ran deeper than I had ever imagined. How could she lie so effortlessly? Questions swirled in my mind, each one fueling the fire of betrayal burning within me. It dawned on me that this deception likely wasn't a recent development. How long had she been deceiving me, and with whom? Fueled by a newfound determination, I abandoned the idea of returning to work, opting instead to stake out her car from a discreet vantage point in the parking lot. I observed from a safe distance, ready to capture any incriminating evidence should the need arise. As the afternoon wore on, my patience wore thin until finally, Around 2 p.m., another car pulled up beside hers. I watched with a mixture of anger and anguish as Sarah emerged from the passenger side, exchanging words and smiles with an unseen individual. Seizing the moment, I snapped several photos, taking note of the car's dealer plates, a clue that could potentially lead me to uncovering the truth behind her betrayal. As Sarah's car disappeared from view, presumably headed home, I sat in contemplative silence, grappling with the gravity of what I had just witnessed. Determined to uncover the truth, I resolved to drive by several nearby car dealerships in search of the mysterious vehicle. As I navigated the streets, the vibrant signs and flags of the dealerships promised savings and new models, but my focus was singular. I sought not a car, but the man who had infiltrated my marriage. Despite scanning several car lots, the elusive vehicle remained out of sight. Aware that drawing attention to myself could jeopardize any chance of catching them in the act, I remained in my car, strategizing my next move. It became apparent that mere sightings weren't enough. I needed concrete evidence of their affair, but the method eluded me. With a heavy heart, I shelved the problem temporarily, mindful of an impending 3-day business trip the following week. Returning home, I broached the subject with Sarah, concocting another lie to conceal my intentions. "Sorry, Han, but they've extended our trip for the whole week. I should be back by Saturday afternoon. I hope that won't be a problem for you," I fibbed, watching her reaction closely. "No, that should be fine," she replied with a smile that sent a chill down my spine. Aware of her potential plans with her lover, I retired to bed, feigning sleep while my mind raced with thoughts of resolution. The following morning, I pushed the issue to the recesses of my mind, focusing on the tasks at hand. As the week unfolded, consumed by work, the impending trip loomed closer. On the day of departure, my son offered to drive me to the airport, unaware of the turmoil brewing beneath the surface of our seemingly normal lives. I couldn't shake the sense that something weighed heavily on my son's mind. Sensing his unease, I gently prodded. "What's on your mind, slugger? You seem quieter than usual. Is everything all right?" His hesitation was palpable as he struggled to articulate his thoughts. Dad, I don't know how to say this, but I think you need to know. Mom, she's. His words faltered, and I offered a knowing prompt. "She's having an affair, right?" "Yes, I'm aware." "Is that what you wanted to tell me?" I interrupted, bracing myself for confirmation. His expression betrayed a mix of surprise and sorrow. "Are you going to divorce her?" he inquired tentatively. "I'm not sure yet. How did you find out about her infidelity?" I inquired, a cold knot forming in my stomach. "A few weeks ago, my baseball practice got rained out, so I came home early. It was pouring. And when I entered the house, they didn't hear me, but I heard them in your bedroom. I saw them together," he recounted, tears welling in his eyes. The fury that surged within me threatened to consume everything in its path. "Does Emily know?" I asked, my voice strained with concern. He shook his head. "No, I don't think so. And I'm not about to tell her. You know how she is," he replied, his resolve evident. "Good. I'm hoping to salvage our marriage and keep our family intact. Just try to act normal around your mom and sister. If you need to talk, don't hesitate to call me, all right?" I urged, a sense of determination settling over me. Arriving at the airport, I embraced my son tightly. "Stay strong, all right? Take care of Emily. And remember, I'm just a phone call away if you need me." With that, I joined my colleagues, checked in, and boarded our flight. We worked tirelessly to secure a significant deal with a new client, a culmination of days of meetings and negotiations. As we savored a late celebratory lunch on our final day, my phone erupted with a frantic call from Harry, shattering the temporary respite of our success. "Dad, you need to come home now." Harry's voice was urgent, filled with panic. "What's wrong? What happened?" My own panic began to rise. "It's Emily. She found out about Mom's affair. And, well, it wasn't pretty. You better get home. Harry's words rushed out. Is she hurt? What happened? I pressed, my heart pounding. Harry wouldn't divulge details. Just get home soon, please, he urged. Excusing myself from the lunch meeting with my colleagues, I declared a family emergency and swiftly checked out of the hotel. Racing to the airport, I secured the next available flight home, every minute feeling like an eternity. Upon touchdown, Harry was there to meet me, his expression grave. All right, what the hell happened? How did Emily find out about your mom's affair? I demanded as we hurried through the airport. Harry met my gaze squarely, pretty much the same way I did, but she took matters into her own hands. Softball practice was canceled, so she came home early and caught them in bed together. The only difference is she grabbed a baseball bat and took a swing at his sorry ass. I stared at Harry in shock, unable to comprehend what I was hearing, but he grinned widely, a glint of satisfaction in his eyes. He won't be walking for a while, and I doubt he'll ever be able to sleep with women again. She what? My disbelief echoed in the air. It appears from Emily's account before the police intervened that they were engaged in intimate activities when she stumbled upon them. She was just as shocked and furious as I was, so she stormed off to her room, grabbed her softball bat, and proceeded to give this guy a beating. Once satisfied with her handiwork, she called 911, reporting a rapist attacking her mother and urging them to send both cops and paramedics. By the time I got home, the poor bastard was whimpering upstairs. When the cops arrived, they questioned Mom, Emily, and the guy, Martin. Emily stuck to her story, reasoning that since he wasn't her father, it must be rape, and she took what she believed to be appropriate action. Harry couldn't contain his grin. This is serious, Harry, I admonished, though laughter threatened to bubble up inside me. Upon arriving home, I found Sarah sitting on the couch, looking distraught. I enveloped her in my arms, feigning concern. It's all right, baby, it's all right. We'll get through this. I know it's been traumatic, but with some counseling, you'll be fine. I reassured her, suddenly playing into the narrative of the alleged assault to maintain her innocence in my eyes. She trembled, uttering a soft, "Oh God," before tears began to flow. Turning to Harry, I inquired about Emily's whereabouts. She's still at the police station. I wasn't sure what to do, he confessed. I rose, pulling out my phone to contact our family lawyer. Briefing him on the situation, I requested a recommendation for legal representation, prompting him to arrange a meeting at the police station within the hour. Stepping aside with Harry, I spoke to him in hushed tones, shielding Sarah from our conversation. I don't want your mother to know that we're aware of her affair. To us, Emily was defending against a rapist. Understand, I emphasized to Harry. He nodded, his expression serious. Got it. Stay here and comfort her. I'll go get Emily and bring her home, I instructed, steeling myself for the task ahead. At the police station, I conversed with the desk officer while awaiting the arrival of the lawyer. Once he appeared, we initiated the process to secure Emily's release. Martin had expressed a desire to press charges against her for assault. I inquired whether my wife intended to press charges against Martin for rape, but it seemed she wasn't pursuing legal action. In that moment, I realized the delicate position Sarah was in. If she didn't press charges, it would imply admission of the affair, potentially leading to Emily's incarceration. Conversely, if she did, Martin could expose the truth, resulting in similar consequences for Emily. It was a painful realization, solidifying the end of our marriage. Feeling a mixture of pride and sorrow for Emily, I admired her courage in defending her mother, yet mourned the circumstances under which she had discovered the truth. As the hours passed, Emily was released into my custody, with a summons to appear in court in the coming days. Holding my daughter close as she wept, I vowed to support her through the tumultuous times ahead. I'm sorry, Daddy, but I had to stop him, Emily sobbed, her voice choked with emotion. It's okay, baby. You did the right thing, and I'm so proud of you, I reassured her, tears streaming down my own cheeks. Can we go home now? She asked, her voice trembling. "You bet, sweetie, you bet," I replied, comforting her as we left the station. Back home, Harry enveloped Emily in a warm hug as she entered the house. "How are you holding up?" he asked with concern. "Better now that I'm home," she sniffled, seeking solace in familiar surroundings. Glancing around the living room, I noticed Sarah's absence. "Where's your mother?" I inquired. "She went to lie down," Emily replied bitterly. "That bitch. When you divorce her sorry ass, can I live with you?" she added, her anger palpable. Both Harry and I exchanged surprised glances at her blunt statement. Honey, who said I was going to divorce your mother?" I questioned, taken aback. "Well, I just figured since she's been cheating on you for over a year, you'd want to get a divorce," Emily explained matter-of-factly. We were speechless, stunned by her revelation. "What? I heard them talking before I took batting practice on him. And I don't think he'll be able to date women anytime soon if ever," she remarked, a mischievous smile playing on her lips. I couldn't help but chuckle. "Let's hold off on the divorce talk until I talk with your mother. Why don't you guys get to bed? It's been a busy day for all of us," I suggested, eager to diffuse the tension. Heading upstairs, I found Sarah fast asleep on her bed, her face buried in the pillow. Opting not to disturb her, I grabbed some clothes and retreated to the spare bedroom for the night. It was late, and I didn't see the point in waking her to hear her side of the story just yet. Sleep didn't come easily, but eventually it claimed me. The following morning, I roused around 10 a.m., feeling drained. I found Harry and Emily engaged in conversation at the table. Their concerned gazes met mine as I entered, and they both rose to embrace me. "You look awful, Dad. Are you okay?" Harry asked, his brow furrowed with worry. I managed a nod. "Just tired. Is your mother awake?" I inquired, hoping to address the looming issues. They shook their heads, and Emily spoke up, her tone bitter. "Not yet. What happens now? I'd rather be there than live with her," she spat, her frustration evident. "Emily, you don't mean that. Look, both of you, your mother loves you despite the strain on our marriage. I'll talk with her and see what we can figure out." Though I'm not optimistic, I admitted, the weight of the situation pressing down on me. Suddenly Sarah appeared in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. "Please, give me a chance," she pleaded. "I don't want to lose you or our family. Can't we talk? Can't we try to work things out?" As Sarah implored, the children's disdain was palpable. Recognizing the need for a private discussion, I discreetly handed Harry some money. "Why don't you and Emily catch a movie and grab some pizza afterward, okay?" They nodded, expressing their love for me as they left. Sarah slumped into a chair, despondent. "They hate me. My own children hate me," she lamented. "Well, what did you expect? You had an affair, and they found out. So where do we go from here?" "Martin wants to press charges against Emily. If that happens, I won't shy away from the truth hitting the press. You need to have a serious conversation with your ex-boyfriend. And if he refuses to cooperate, tell him you'll file rape charges against him. Do you understand?" She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "What about us, Danny? What about our marriage?" she pleaded. "I'll be meeting with a divorce lawyer next week. You should do the same. Our marriage, as far as I'm concerned, ended long ago. I'll seek full custody of the kids because, well, Emily might take a baseball bat to you in your sleep. Do you really want to live in fear of your own children?" I responded, my tone firm. "But they're my children. They love me," she sobbed. "Not so much after what they found out about you and Martin. Look, this is going to be messy, no matter how we handle it. I know I'll regret saying this, but it's in your best interest to consult a lawyer and explore your options. I'll try to be fair, but you've hurt me and the kids deeply, and that's not something I can easily forgive." I explained, my voice tinged with frustration. Sarah broke into fresh sobs. "Danny, I don't want a divorce. I want my family back. Please help me." Why? You not only cheated on me, but also on our family. The kids don't want anything to do with you now. He really messed up, Sarah, and I'm not sure if I want to stay married to you, I retorted, feeling the mixture of anger and sadness. Please tell me what I need to do to keep our family together. I'm so sorry, she pleaded, her cries intensifying. A good start would be for us to talk to Martin and convince him to drop the charges against Emily. Then we'll need to address why you did this and assess if our marriage is salvageable. I'm not making any promises. If you're willing to be open and honest, there might be a chance, I stated, knowing that my primary goal was to get the charges dropped against Emily. However, I had no intention of reconciling with Sarah after her betrayal. I can talk to Martin alone. There's no reason for you to be there, Sarah said quietly. No, we're doing this together. This involves our daughter, and as her father, I'm going with you. Do you understand? I asserted firmly, her head bowed as if defeated. Soon we were driving over to the hospital to talk with Martin. I was expecting a civil conversation. As we walked into his room, I noticed his legs suspended in the air by ropes. His knees were bandaged, and one arm was in a cast, likely from trying to defend himself against Emily's blows. I couldn't help but inwardly smile, contemplating buying her a car for her next birthday, even though she was still 2 years away from getting her driver's license. Martin heard us enter and looked pretty out of it, his eyes glazed over from pain medication. Hey, if it isn't the loving couple, come on in and see what that bitch did to me, he slurred calmly, almost as if he were drunk. Please, Martin, we just want to talk. It doesn't have to get nasty, Sarah said, her voice trembling with nerves. I sensed her unease, but it wasn't clear why until Martin's next words. I told you to get an abortion 14 years ago, but no, you just had to have another child, even if it wasn't his. Martin spat famously. I turned to Sarah incredulous. What is he talking about? What does he mean that Emily isn't mine? Oh, he's just talking nonsense because of the drugs. Don't pay any attention to what he's saying, she stammered, visibly shaking. Is that so? Well, then I suppose a DNA test will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that she is my daughter. Maybe I should get one done for Harry as well, just to be sure he's mine too. What do you think, dear? I seethed with anger, feeling more furious than I had ever been. Sarah ran from the room in tears, leaving me standing there. I turned back to Martin, meeting his gaze head-on. All right, listen up, asshole. Here's what's going to happen. First, you drop the charges against Emily. Second, you stay the hell away from my family. And as for Sarah, you can continue your affair because she won't be my wife for much longer. Got it. Now you and Sarah can enjoy each other's company to your heart's content, I demanded, my anger seething. Martin began to cry, lamenting. That little bitch has done everything to ensure I can't reproduce anymore. Yeah, well, I'm buying her a car for her next birthday, I retorted, unable to suppress my sarcasm. Turning serious again, I asked Martin directly, is she your daughter? He nodded, unable to speak. And you and my wife have been carrying on this affair for the past 15 years, I questioned. Once again, he nodded. It was a crushing blow to my ego, and I was grateful that Sarah had left the room, or else I might have done something I'd regret. Sinking into a chair, I stared blankly into space, grappling with the realization of how blind I had been. It struck me then, the medical issues Sarah had experienced years ago, the ones she never fully explained to me. A chilling thought crossed my mind as I looked back at Martin. That medical problem she had a few years ago, was it another pregnancy that she terminated? He nodded solemnly. I warned her that if she didn't get an abortion, I'd tell you that neither Emily nor the last one were yours. I buried my head in my hands and wept bitterly. That foolish, foolish woman, I thought to myself. After about 10 minutes, I collected myself and left Martin's room. Sarah was sitting in the waiting room, her gaze fixed on the window. She rose as she saw me and followed silently to our car. The ride was quiet until Sarah finally spoke up. "I know you must really hate me, but it's not what you think." "It was just," she began, her voice trailing off. I cut her off, my voice firm and unyielding. "If you try to minimize this as just a fling, you'll find yourself in the next room with Martin. When exactly did this affair begin? And when were you planning to tell me about the abortion, or about Emily not being my daughter?" She dissolved into tears once more, but I remained resolute. "Here's how it's going to unfold, and if you don't agree, you'll face consequences beyond your imagination. Are we clear?" She nodded, her tears continuing to flow. "Firstly, our marriage is over. You will leave the house tonight and never set foot inside again. Secondly, I will have full custody of the children. You'll have visitation rights, but only if they consent. If they don't want to see you, I won't force them. Thirdly, if you ever breathe a word to Emily about my paternity, I'll ensure everyone knows about your affair with Loverboy, as well as the abortion you tried to keep hidden. Oh, and let's not forget, you quit your job for Mark," I stated firmly. She buried her face in her hands, unable to confront the harsh reality. "Sarah, I don't want to see you again, and I certainly don't want you near my children. Do you understand? Are we clear on that?" I demanded. Through sobs, she managed. "They're my children too." "No, not anymore. You can visit them if they agree, but I doubt they will. Now when we get home, you pack your things and leave," I instructed, my tone unwavering. "Where will I go? Call your parents. Call a friend. Stay at Martin's place. Pitch a tent in the park for all I care. Just get out," I retorted bitterly. We sat in the driveway in silence for several minutes, the weight of the situation heavy between us. After a tense silence, I couldn't bear it any longer. "Why, Sarah? Wasn't the family we built, the beautiful home, enough for you?" She remained seated, her voice barely above a whisper. It meant nothing to me. He was great in bed, and then he started blackmailing me after Emily was born. "I do love you. Can we at least try to?" I cut her off, my voice thundering with rage. 15 years, Sarah. You cheated on me for 15 years, and now you want to work it out. Get your belongings out of my house now. I stormed out of the car and marched into the house. A few minutes later, Sarah followed, silently packing her things. An hour passed, and she had her bags and boxes ready. She loaded them into her car that returned to the house. "I'll need to come back for the rest. I'll be staying at my parents'. Can I call you to arrange a pickup time?" she asked softly. I nodded curtly. "You've destroyed something good, Sarah. I hope you realize that." Without a word, she left. About 2 hours later, the kids returned, surveying the changed atmosphere. "Where's Mom?" "She doesn't live here anymore. I told her I'd get custody of you too, and she could have visitation if you agreed to it. I'm sorry, but our marriage was beyond saving," I explained. Emily approached me and hugged me tightly. "Thank you, Dad. We love you. Are you okay?" Harry asked, concern etched on his face. "Not really, but I will be with you too by my side," I replied, pulling them close. 8 years later, and I managed to move forward from the turmoil Sarah had brought upon our family. The kids wanted little to do with her, allowing only brief visits every other weekend, often filled with scheduled activities or games. Despite my efforts to encourage more contact, once Harry turned 18, he firmly asserted that Sarah was no longer his mother, delivering a blow that echoed Emily's sentiments. Witnessing Sarah's devastation was a rare moment where I felt a pang of sympathy for her. Martin was eventually released from the hospital, dropping all charges after a stern warning from me regarding potential repercussions. He now relies on a cane, with rumors swirling that his vitality has been irreparably damaged, even with medical interventions. It's a fitting outcome, considering the pain he caused. At Emily's urging, we underwent a DNA test, which confirmed she is indeed my daughter. The relief we felt upon learning the truth was palpable, and we held each other tightly, shedding tears of both joy and release. Yet lingering in the back of my mind is the haunting question: was the child Sarah terminated also mine? It's a question that may haunt me forever. Sarah eventually settled with her parents for a while, securing a full-time job before eventually relocating out of state, and we gradually lost touch. Despite this, she still sends birthday and Christmas cards to the kids, but they always return them unopened. Harry earned a baseball scholarship and enrolled in a prestigious university, while Emily pursued her dream of becoming a nurse at college. Both are thriving academically and have begun dating. Harry has found a steady girlfriend, whereas Emily jokingly remarked that she wants a partner just like me, though I believe she deserves someone even better. It took me several years to muster the courage to date again, but eventually I met a wonderful woman with whom I share a fulfilling relationship. Marriage isn't on the horizon, and I'm content with that. The pain of the past still lingers, but with each passing day, it diminishes, thanks in large part to the love and support of my children.